Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Online Community Show. This is a podcast that we do every week about online communities. We mostly talk about school because that's the one we like, and we have a very special guest. You could probably see him. He's right there in the middle. Everybody knows him as Artin. He runs the Skool Scaling community. It's really, really awesome, and you should all join in after this. But at first, I just want to say my name's Eric. I'm here with Jenna. Hello, Jenna.
Hi.
And how are you, Artin?
Welcome.
I'm doing good. I'm excited to get into things and cook.
Me as well. Yeah, we talked to you on our other show last week, and it was really, really valuable. And I think this one's going to be even better.
Very cool. Thank you for coming to the podcast and being willing to share again. One of the things that I think most people wonder when they get to school and they see that you have Skool Scaling is the very first thing is like, what does he do on school? Like, what would you describe yourself as? Constantly being on school, we see you in different communities, but what is it that you actually do?
Sure. So, on a practical level, I would say it's more like community management and just like consulting. So, building the offer, just basically advising on what the strategy is. But in terms of school scaling itself, I would say that has like a different idea around it.
Okay, so what is scaling?
Scaling, most people would say, is on the macro, I would say is just increasing revenue. And then on a micro level, I kind of like seeing scaling as a forced function within like certain parameters. And what I mean by that is there's like three things you got to understand. So number one, what is scaling? And scalability sits on a spectrum, right? So it's not like you do something and it's scalable or not scalable. It's how scalable it is. So a sales call, for example, is less scalable than a webinar for most people, just because a sales call takes more time. And the scalability of something is basically determined by how many resources it takes from you. And as like a good rule of thumb, the more scalable something is, like the worse it performs on like a small scale. So a webinar will perform worse than a sales call. If you get 100 people in a webinar, if it's really good, you'll get like 15 people that kind of convert. And on a sales call, you'll get like 50 people, right?
Yeah.
So that's like number one. And then that sits within like certain parameters of what you actually want to do and how much you actually want to scale on like a day-to-day basis. So the parameters are based off literally just like physics. I can't, spend money I don't have, sadly. I cry about that every night. And also just your preferences. So let's say you don't want to work 5 hours a day. You only want to work 3 hours a day. And you just want to do that every day. And you want to do like the 4-hour work week by Tim Ferriss, for example. That would be just like a parameter that you have. So you can kind of plan around that. And you can kind of mess with different variables. And then the reason I said it's a forced function, so scalability is a forced function, is when you get really clear on what you actually want and care about. Let's say you just want to work 3 hours a day, then in those 3 hours, I think you should maximize the things that you actually do. So if you're not getting that many leads, then probably just take the sales call and sell them into your thing, even if it's an extremely low ticket community. So that is my long-winded answer. There's the macro and then there's like the micro on the day-to-day basis.
Basically, in layman's terms, you help people make more money and save time.
Yes.
Okay. So you said you do community management and consulting. If someone were to hire you, like what are like the tangibles of what that would look like as far as scaling their community? Like what would you do for them?
Yeah, so it'd probably be like weekly coaching calls or consulting calls. I like consulting a lot more. And just can I help you on the call and saying what would be the best thing that we can do following that week? So it's like maybe let's cut back on the YouTube and do more Instagram because our traffic source is all from Instagram. And just kind of being really clear on that. And in terms of the community management, there's so many problems that come with communities, right? There is chat, there is engagement, there is how the classroom is set up. So it depends on like the exact problem they're running into. But generally, it's just getting the community really active, getting the onboarding right, so that people feel like upgrading and paying more money to the
Right.
owner.
So you're basically just like finding what they're doing wrong and fixing it so they make more money.
Yes.
What do you think like the most common thing that someone's doing like that's really messing their communities up?
Most common thing.
Yeah, something that you see a lot. Like, oh, that's an obvious mistake
Ooh,
that you can fix.
an obvious one that's like super, super quick to fix is just making your community private. The amount of people that I see in schoolers and they're like, yeah, my this issue happened recently. He was like, my ad spend it's like $57 per person that joins. And he had a community that was $19 a month. And I go check out his community and it's like his community was public. So you can just see the stuff inside it for free.
It's like, why would I
And
pay?
it's like, so that is like number one. Just check your goddamn settings. Go to the
Yeah.
community settings. Go to general and see if your community is public or not. The amount of people I have to tell that to is like crazy, and you will see such a boost.
Yeah.
That's
It's the
honestly
basics.
the main thing that comes to mind.
So you get it. That's your quick win. Is like, let's go ahead and set your community from public to
Yeah.
private, so that people would. There's a reason to join. You know.
Right.
Yeah, that's definitely one of them. Another one I do a lot is YouTube. So YouTube, a lot of people have YouTube channels and they post it inside Skool, but you need to add like a little question mark views at the end of like a certain YouTube link for it to actually count the views on Skool.
Yeah.
So
That's
another
something
really big one.
I forget to do that constantly.
Yeah.
I need to do that.
Yeah, because it's like if you don't do that, then what are you like? What are you gonna just keep getting all these? You're gonna be putting this content out, and your YouTube's just gonna look like you have no views ever, even if you had like 1,000 people watch them. So that makes a lot of sense. So if somebody were looking, when you said community management, like what are you managing? What are some of like the let's get down to like if you were to create a list of things that you're going to help somebody with when it comes to scaling, and somebody was looking at like, oh yeah, this would really like this is what I need help with. This is what are those things that they normally are asking you to help them with in the community besides those little other details?
Yeah, I think engagement's the main one. Most people have dead communities. And honestly, that one's pretty simple. You just kind of like, I think people overcomplicate it. Wait, let me step back for a moment. Okay. Can I just go on a tangent about just communities?
Please do it.
Okay, so I feel like there's two groups on Skool, which is the kind of group that just wants to make money. And then you have kind of the other side, which is people that want a really good community. And I disagree with both of these people because I think they're both wrong. Because staying in the middle is actually the perfect spot because your community helps you make more money. And I feel like most people miss that. So when I won't name them. But let's take like a big creator on Skool. If you go into their community, like you see before the auto mod, especially, you see like these WhatsApp links and just some some dude from an interesting country that's talking there, and it's just people, hey, you want $5,000? And it's like if someone joins that, they're probably not going to buy your stuff, right? If you go to the value equation, the likelihood of outcome has just decreased in their mind by so much. So even if you do want to make a lot of money, making the community good matters. It will make you more money. So how you do that is, I think the simplest way is honestly just regulars. Just get regulars. If you get the top 10
Yeah.
regulars, basically nothing else matters.
So you're saying they have like a free community and they're not taking care of their free community. Like they're just
Yeah.
letting it, they're just
Even in
basically
paid
having
community.
it as like a, oh really?
Yeah, even in paid community, because imagine you walk in. Okay, so you just got sold for 1K a month, even, right? And you go into the community and it's like people are talking about anything. It's obviously not going to be as bad as a free community because people are paying to show up there, so you don't have to moderate it as much, and you'll get something that's like okay. But if it was better, then the chances of them upgrading or following through on the things that you actually have in the course because they come back for the community and people stay for the community is significantly higher. So it's like all over the place. If you just make the community better, you'll make more money. And I feel like
Yeah.
people miss that.
Yeah. So you said the best way to do that is to get your true regulars. Well, what's the best way to get those regulars?
I think you can get like lost in the sauce in this.
Yeah.
You really can. But the simplest way I found is just message them. Especially if you're an authority in the space, people want to talk to you. So you just message them and you're like, hey, can you post every Monday? And then you go to somebody else and you say, hey, can you post every Tuesday? And if you don't know who to go to do that with, you just go to the leaderboard and then you check your top 10 people in the 30-day leaderboard. And you think to yourself, which of these people would I like to show up more in the community? And then you just
Yeah.
message those people. And if there's only like 3 of those people, that's perfectly fine. And that's it. Obviously, you can get like way more details. So you can send them docs about what they could post. You could make your own post better. You could do email posts. Like there's so many things that you could do. But I honestly think that will give you like 60% of the way there.
Yeah. That's so simple. I don't know why I haven't thought about that. Literally just message them and be like, hey, will you mind posting something? That's
Yeah.
a great idea. I like that.
I guess like because I think it's also in the way that you ask too, right? Because you wouldn't want your ask to feel weird, right? So how would you ask that? Because like when you say that to me, I go, do I look like I'm just trying to get engagement, or am I like, you know what I mean? Like if I'm thinking about the way of asking that, I guess I would want to make them feel like, hey, you've been a really good member. I really appreciate everything you have to say. I'm wanting to roll out a segment where it's more member led, you know? Is that how you would go about it? Or what would you exactly say to get them to like to make the DM not be like, hey, I'm just desperate for engagement, you know?
Honestly, I get what you mean. And I stopped touching my mic.
It's all right.
I get what you mean. And like, I'll give you an answer in a second, but go with your intuition. Like, as long as you are not like stupid, and I mean genuinely stupid, as long as you're like, hey, you have to post or something crazy like that,
Or I'm going
they
to
will
kick
probably
you.
do it. Yeah, exactly. Like, as long as you're not doing something crazy, that you're chilling. But the way I personally like to do it is have a few DMs back and forth first. So you don't want to ask for it instantly. You kind of talk to them, vibe them out. And in those DMs, you kind of want to see, you want to give them some compliments for showing up in the community. You want to build up the vision of the community with them. So what does that mean? Hey, and you can do this even if you don't have a vision, you can kind of build it with them. So it's kind of like a forking path. So you can be like, hey, I really think this community can do really well. And I love that you're engaging in here. What do you think what would you like this community to be? And then they will just like tell you a vision. And then you just build that up. You kind of build up the dream outcome in sales, I guess, if you want to call it that way. Or if you do have the dream outcome and you're like, hey, I really want this community to reach 1,000 members, for example, with one of my clients. And I want this place to be the place for this topic where nobody gets confused. They don't have to go to a Reddit thread that's 5 years ago that is completely different than what things are now. Could you please help me do that? Like, and then most people just say yes.
I know I've had people message me, like the owners, and ask me to make a post, and it's kind of an ego boost from like the member perspective. It's like, oh, you trust me enough to say something like this, to maybe even teach somebody else something, and it feels good. So I don't know, from a member standpoint, I think I've liked it in the past, so I can get on board with that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think. Well, I guess going back to Jan's question, I think most people like don't see it as an ask, almost weirdly. Most people want to, like, most people will feel good about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. And because like I've talked to owners and other people. Dominic's trying to say hi to you because he knows you. Just so everybody knows, Artin is like somebody that Dominic is a fan of, so he might try to take over this podcast right now.
Dominic, do a CTA to my community.
Hey, Dominic. Okay, hold on one second. We'll see if we can get him to. Hey, can you?
This feels wrong.
Can you say, join Skool Scaling?
No, I just want to get candy. Candy.
Okay, but that's. You're gonna say hi to Artin then?
Hello.
Hello.
We got interrupted by the little
so,
one.
so cute.
Okay. All right. Can you go do your play with your monster trucks? Thanks. Anyways, I don't know where I was going with that now. Derailed. Dum dum. No, so like asking makes sense where it's not going to feel awkward, but I do know some owners that I've talked to before that do feel awkward about it. But if I thought about it from the standpoint of like when we've watched school news and stuff, even Sam has said like that's what they do. Him and Kirby, they'll reach out to people, and it does end up making a stronger community feel, you know. And so I think that would just make sense that if you've already got people that are in the community, they love the community, it's going to make sense for them to just want to also be a part and get involved.
Yeah, and not to, just so I don't leave people behind. If you're not at the point where you have that many people in the Fairy Day leaderboard, then your problem is an engagement. Like you just need more people.
Yeah, just have a traffic problem.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, Artin. What kind of posts are you seeing work really well for engagement? I know most communities I go in, you see like these super long value posts. So if you were to go into community and try to get the engagement up, what kind of posts would you do?
I don't actually pay attention too much, if I'm being honest, to what posts work. But the posts I make are just stupid as hell all the time. And what I mean by that is I kind of like, I like doing the, I won't use the proper term, but it's like stupid maxing for posts.
Stupid. Oh, I know what the actual word is. We won't say that.
I feel like most people put way too much effort into the posts, and my ones are just like a really simple question that's like probably stupid as well.
Wait, so you didn't use ChatGPT to write out a long
No,
thought
it's
leadership
crazy.
post? Oh,
And it took me 10 seconds, and
That
it
is
performed
crazy.
way better than me sitting there for 30 minutes trying to come up with something really good that makes me sound intellectual.
that's
I would
awesome.
say,
You
Go
just
ahead.
show up and you're like, what's your worst memory?
Yeah, there you go. Hey, yeah, we forgot to ask, Artin, what is your worst memory?
I am not answering that one here. Ain't no way.
Okay. Fine.
But-
But we will get you the next time we get you on the online morning show.
I would
So-
just keep it simple. Ask a question. Like I would always have a question. Even if it's an announcement, I would have a question in there. Like
Just
there's
put a question
always a
mark
question.
at the end.
Literally, yes. Just have a question in there.
Yeah.
Dang. So when I posted this thing about going live with you on here and I didn't put a question, I failed. This
Yes.
is why he should have been school scaling for me.
You know, that works not only in school, it works in content. If you do like a text hook and you put a question mark at the end, it always performs better. Yep.
It could have been who's watching this live with us, you know? That's what I could
Exactly.
Yep.
see.
It's
Well,
so
what
simple.
are your thoughts on
Even I make that mistake, by the way. Sorry. I made that
Go
mistake
ahead.
recently with my own podcast when I posted it on Schoolers. And then I looked at somebody else's, and they just literally they made a podcast and they put a question inside the headline, and it performed better than mine. And I was like, oh,
That's it. That's the
just
trick.
for a question.
There's your golden nugget if you're listening.
Literally, dude, on another post in Evelyn, so I joined Evelyn's community recently for the traffic challenge. I literally just asked a really basic question on my title, and it performed better than everybody else's post. That's not like I'm flexing, bro.
Yeah.
But but the post was like the point I'm trying to get across was the post itself was unbelievably simple and looked extremely similar to literally everybody else. She literally gave us a template. It's just that I put a question on at the title. Like,
Yeah.
it's stupid.
It's got to be some kind of human psychology. Like people can't help themselves. They want to answer the question.
Yeah, I think it's just, I don't know.
So that's how I kind of view when I look at posts. I feel like you should do more polls. And when you do a poll, you shouldn't give every answer available. I feel like you should give a couple of them because,
Devious.
yeah, it's my motives again. You know, I just feel like if you end up putting like the basic answers, so it's easy, it's an easy way for people to engage. Or if you have the people that are like, my answer is not here, I will have to comment. You know, because you're giving space for that. You know.
Yeah. Would you
Yeah.
say there's like a direct correlation between an active and engaged community and how much money you make? Or have you seen communities making lots of money that are still dead?
Yeah, I think there's definitely making communities, dead communities that make a lot of money. I do think they would make more money. I think it's also situational. So if you have, I actually just proved myself wrong. So I was gonna say that if you have people that are like extremely busy, then the community aspect is probably not gonna be that important to them. But then I just remembered Hormozi's community, and it looks extremely active in there, and it's literally just like million dollar plus verified community. Sorry, business owners. Like those people are busy,
Yeah, I was about
and
to
that
say,
community
they're
looks
busy.
awesome.
Yeah, that's true.
So yes, and I still think those people would make more money if they did it properly.
Or at least be like an active owner. There's been a lot of times where I'll go to join a community and then I'll look at like the owner's like activity and it's just they're barely on. It's like I'm not going to join that community.
Yeah, it seems to be the, especially if you have a school community about school communities. Like if you're not active, you're cooked. Because most schoolers are gonna press on the community. At least I know I do. Gonna press on the community owner's profile and see how active they are.
Yeah. And well, actually, I mean, if you have someone coming over from Facebook or somewhere else, and they've not used this app before, you got to give them a reason to stick around because, like, you know, they might just delete it if they come and then you're not there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Show up. Helps.
That's the number one tip. Just actually be there.
Literally, yes. Just show up and like it'll work out eventually.
What would you say to an owner? Like, let's say there's an owner, right? They have another job outside of this. They're trying to make their community so that they can leave their 9-to-5 job, but they're making a lot of money at their 9-to-5 job. So they're willing to spend money to get you to help them, but they need to go do their other stuff and they can't show up as much. How do you help a community owner that can't show up much, still wants to scale their community so that they can leave their 9-to-5 so that they then can show up?
I don't think you have to put much work into a community for it to be active. Like, I fundamentally just don't believe that. I think you could make an active community with 10 minutes a day. Like, legitimately. Even 5 minutes a day. If you...
Okay.
Go ahead.
If you only, so let's say, what are you going to stick with? Like, what's your minimum time that they need to spend
Inside the community?
a day?
I would say if you spend 10 minutes a day on the community, like, you will get 60% of the results. Because you can make the post extremely simple and you can just reply to some people. That is honestly more than what most people do. And
Okay.
if you do that, then I see myself as more of a multiplier than I do a starter. So since I'm an operator, I can only multiply the things that the other person is doing. So if you do 0 minutes of engagement, it is extremely difficult for me to do literally anything in there. Just straight up. it is almost impossible because unless you set it up very precisely, because they're there for you. That's it. Like they are there for you.
And they're not most of those members probably aren't following you.
Exactly.
And so when you post, they're not even going to see it. So that 10 minutes a day, is that spent posting and replying? Is that what you mean?
So the 10 minutes a day, I would do the stupid maxing of just posting something really simple. And I would also reply to probably someone's, answer some questions.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, that's it. It's nothing extreme.
Yeah. I see a lot of people asking schoolers, they say, how many times should I post today? Do you think there's like a max for that? Like, should you not only post 3 times a day or does it matter? Because, there's that, you don't want to annoy them, but also it's like, I'm sure there's a line. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I would just take it case to case. I wouldn't say there's oh, you have to do it this way. There's no like hard rule with it. Because let's say you have this like event that you've built up for the past 3 months and you're like, oh, dude, this dude on this podcast told me I can only post once a day. It's like, no, bro, just like post the 5 times because it makes sense to post the 5 times. Post as many times as it gives value to the audience. And value doesn't have to be some sort of information they take away. It's just a positive emotion that comes from the post.
Yeah. I like Hermosi's take if when he does content and I guess it might apply to posts too. I don't know. It's as long as it's interesting, then it doesn't matter.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
You don't want to. I would say you don't want to overdo the interesting, because then it's almost like when you're like in a relationship with someone, if you see them too much, it kind of gets annoying. You're like, okay, bro. Like
I need some space.
Yeah, exactly. So just thinking about what you would want as a member in your own community.
Yeah,
That's
that
a
makes
good
sense.
frame.
Yeah. Cool.
One thing I was going to ask you is when you're looking at a community, right? So you could be helping someone scale, or you could technically help somebody launch, right? Like you could help an influencer launch. But if somebody's like looking at this and they see your community called Skool Scaling, how do you know when to scale?
I would say it goes back to what I talked at the beginning. Like scaling is a forced function within certain parameters. So certain tasks are more scalable than other tasks. So let's say you work 5 hours a day and you're extremely clear that you want to work 5 hours a day. Like being clear on what you want and care about is so useful. And you're doing sales calls right now because that's what matters, because you don't have much traffic and you're doing sales calls. Okay. Your sales calls, you're doing them for 4 hours. Like you're maxed out, you're booked out. People can't book in anymore. Now you have a choice. You can either change your parameters because you want to make more money. So you can go from working 5 hours a day to 6 hours a day, 7 hours a day, and that could be covering it. Or you change the mechanism and how scalable the thing you're doing is. So you might switch to a workshop, or you might switch to, I've seen this like, it's a really weird tactic, but it's essentially doing like group sales calls. Now that takes some skill, but does that make sense?
It does. It does. So,
Great.
what can I ask you a couple more questions? And I know none of these are going to have like I know like all these are going to have like a lot of different answers, and you're probably not going to want to answer directly for any of these. But I'm going to do some like speed questions, and you tell me which. You just tell me
questions?
the first thing. Yeah, the first thing that pops in your mind.
I hate speed questions. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, what model are you seeing working the best right now? Freemium, free to paid,
Free
just
to paid.
free to paid. So like a free school community to a paid school community, or like using like the YouTube as their free.
Now this is too much nuance right here. Hey, you said speed round.
Speed run, quick questions.
What is this?
Okay, so there's free to paid. It doesn't matter how they do it. It's as long as they have like some sort of free.
Freeze
first.
paid. Don't put too much stuff in the paid.
Okay.
It's doing the what and the why. So, what is the thing you're teaching? Why does it make sense? And a tiny bit of the how, which gives them a quick win, which like they see a tangible outcome of in their life in hopefully a day or less.
Okay. So if someone has a free, how long do they need to wait until that? This is this. I'm asking follow-ups to this question. If someone has a free,
I would have fought longer.
Speed run.
this is my version of the speed round. Okay, so someone has a free. How long should they wait till they start their paid, or can they start them both at the same time?
Do you want me to answer with speed?
Answer
That goes to the most.
Speed.
Okay,
You
ignore
want
the
nuance.
speed. Answer the best to your ability. Ignore the speed.
What?
I love this. All right.
So with nuance, not answering with speed. It depends on. I think the number one factor for that would be the amount of traffic that you have. So if you don't have that many traffic, that much traffic, then I would probably build up the free community more to a certain level, and then I would launch the paid as like almost as like a secondary launch. But you don't want to. But if you have a traffic source, right, it's like completely different. A traffic source, you might not even want to do free to paid first of all. But let's say you do want to do free to paid because you probably have some sort of high ticket. Then if you get them in the free community, you want to kind of like already, you're going to get so many people. So let's say like 500 to 1,000. You want to, as soon as people start getting their first wins in there and like they really pop off, you want to kind of like tease it. You want to do a Hormozy launch, so like tease, whisper, and then shout for your launch. So you want to say some of those stuff, and then you want to tease the little stuff, and then you want to shout it.
So we like wrap it in a bow. It's like you get your free, make sure a couple people got some wins, so that way you can actually show the proof to the sell, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So tease, whisper, shout. All right. So now I have a question. And speed. No, I'm just kidding. How much content? How much content do they need in the classroom? And you said free to paid. So how much in the free? How much in the paid?
Need is like a really strong word. So I would say
Want, desire. Like, what do you
okay,
think? They would
need
to
is
do?
so different than anything else. I would actually say that you don't. For most communities, you don't need anything in the classroom. Almost.
Gasp.
Whoa.
I know. You
You
can
need
keep
some
it.
like shocker soundbite. Where it's
Yeah, that's true. I always like the. Oh, what is it? The one where they get like. Oh my
Whoa.
god.
You said shock.
You know the one where they get like flinged off in the movies and like wow. It's the same like scream
Yeah.
sound.
Oh no, I'm falling.
But yeah, you can say coming soon, and you can build it with the community, because most owners don't know what the members want. They know what they want. They have like this perfect vision of, oh, it's going to be this way and this classroom type, and then, you know, blah, blah, blah. But and then members come in, and you see this all the time in schoolers. It's like one of the main mistakes beginners make. They spend 3 months on a course. Members join, no one wants it, no one goes through it. And they're like, oh, guys, I made this mistake. And then you'll see a post tomorrow that says, oh, guys, I spent 6 months on a course. And like, it is so frequent. So
I can see why they do it, though. It's almost like an ego thing, too, because it's like, well, I don't want to. I don't know. It's like it seems counterintuitive to not have a course, but once you really think about it, it makes more sense to do it your way. But I can see why. So
I would say I can see how it's counterintuitive in the beginning, because I think courses sell.
yeah.
And that's like just true. If I see a course on the outside, then I probably want to join. But at the same time, you have it you want to play to your advantage. right? If you don't have a course right now, then play to your advantage. Like, I don't have a course in my community, and I frame it completely differently. So I guess, yeah. Can I yap on?
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
1 second. I want to add something to this because I think that you might have a good take on this and it might go into what you're saying. I have talked to a lot of people where they feel they cannot make a community or they cannot make a paid community without a course or a classroom, because then they're like, why would people show up? Where's the value? So as you're gonna rip off on what you're talking about, can you please make sure that you address that for the people, because I think that's important.
Yeah, I would say I completely see where I come from. Makes perfect sense. And at the same time, you can play to your advantage because you always have an advantage. Like, use what you have. When you're starting out and you don't have a course in there, you have time. You have so much time. Use the time. Hey, if you join right now, there's actually there's so many group coaching calls, and we're going to build the community together. Like, you will decide what I film. What are your problems? I will build this for you. Right? It's so different to the positioning of someone that already has a course. Hey, we have this course here. We've already had 1,000 people go through it. Look at all of these great testimonials. Right? It's way different. So I would just play to your advantage, which is that you have time and you can build it specifically for them.
Would you say you would need to price it differently since you don't have technically proof yet?
Yeah, that's true. I have found that it's good to, like, founding member pricing is really useful. So, and you can do this a couple of different ways. You can do like, hey, it's 50% off for the first 10 members, and then 40% off for the next 10, 30% off for the next 10, or you can just do a jump. Really depends.
Well, now that you're talking about pricing, because sometimes I would talk to people and they would be like, oh, okay, well, if I'm doing founders pricing and there's nothing in the classroom, sometimes they go way too cheap. They're like, okay, well, I can only charge like $9 or $5 or something is small. But I think that doing that as the founding price, like that low, you're kind of capping yourself. Like, you can't go up to the $199 a month, or, what are your thoughts on pricing? Like, what would a founder's price be for somebody that doesn't, but they technically are an expert in that field, or it is going to be a solid community? And yeah, can you just go over how you would look at creating the pricing around one of those kinds of offers where they don't have classroom content yet?
Yeah, I would think about it in more relative terms instead of like absolute terms. So if your final offer pricing is going to be $30 a month, then do the $9 a month founder member. Like, that's perfectly fine. But let's just go to the extreme, right? Let's take Alex Hormozy, for example. If he made a community and there was no course in there, and he was like, hey, I'm going to offer up my time because he's an expert. Bro, do you think I care? That's actually better for me. I like that more, personally. So I would make it relative, and I would probably not do less than 50% discount, because 50% is already like a lot. So don't do anything less than 50, and don't think about the absolutes. Think about what it's actually worth. So if it's worth $500 a month, then keep it at 500, and then just maybe take 50% off, maybe take 40% off. Depends a lot on the strategy that you want to use and the amount of traffic that you have.
Okay, so like that's how you would look at it. It's like, I know I want my community to make this much. I know that the value is this much, but right now, because I want to do a founder's price, I'll do 50% of that.
Yeah. And if you're unsure about pricing, you can ask people. There's these, like, I would just search this up because I forgot the name, but you can just search up like the 4 questions that give you the pricing. And then there's these like 4 questions, and then you can just send it to your members if you have enough traffic, so that
So
the
for
data is
those
significant.
for those that are listening, can I ask you when you remember that, will you let me know, and I'll go ahead and just put that in the description of this
Yeah.
recorded live thing so that people can find that. Cool. So you mentioned if they don't have that content because they don't need content in the classroom,
Mm-hmm.
then should every community have calls on the calendar?
Should every community have calls on the calendar? I don't think it's needed. For example, Scoot, which is like a school extension, doesn't have calls on the calendar. I think. What do I think about calls?
I love how every question's just, what is the nuance to this?
I've actually never thought about calls before in the calendar. It's kind of like, it's so natural, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have courses, then I would think you would need something. Otherwise, it's just
Yeah.
totally empty.
If you don't have a course, then probably do some sort of calendar, and that'll be useful. Yeah, I don't have much to say on this, actually.
That's interesting. I think like what we've learned so far, Eric, do you agree that Artin puts a lot of thought into all of the things that he does for communities?
He puts more thought than me. I'm impressed.
Yeah. This is what you would want from somebody that's going to scale your school, you know?
Yeah.
Ooh, I can yap about it here. The thing I want to yap about.
Okay, please.
Perfect
Okay.
timing. Okay. It is. You see this all the time about how when people like are trying to scale or make more money, and this is a mistake that I've made, so I am not above this in any way, shape, or form. But the 2 main questions people ask is, does this thing work? So does YouTube work? Does organic work? Does ads work? Does outbound work? And the second question is, does YouTube work, or does this thing work better? Does this thing work better, or does this thing work better? Does outbound on email work better, or on X work better? I think basically everything works, and it doesn't matter which one's better. So that's why I add so much nuance to the questions, because I think it's just the wrong way. Like, it's more clippable, I guess, and more listenable. So I'm sorry if this isn't too listenable.
I love this answer, by the way. This is exactly what I think too.
But
That's what I always tell people. It works if you just do it long enough.
Yeah. And the question you should be asking is, does it work for me? So let's take TikTok and Instagram, for example. You have 100,000 TikTok followers, and you spend 8 hours a day on TikTok, just consuming TikTok endlessly. And then you see someone in an authority position say that Instagram is better. Bro, who cares? You have 100,000 followers. Who cares? So I would just break things down and think about, does this work for me? This is a mistake I've made in board gaming, even coached. They'll tell me something, and I'll be like, actually, this person online said this thing that's different. And it's like, bro, you're getting a answer that is meant for you. I've had this on my calls even, where they hop on and they're like, yeah, I've heard 1,000 coaches say something different to me. And it's like, yeah, those were the YouTube videos, bro. I am a real person. I am talking to you right now based on your situation. Like, I'm not going to give you some generic answer that's clippable. So I think that's basically the idea around school scaling. I think basically everything works, and it doesn't matter which one's better.
Just want to give you a round of applause right now. That was so good.
Yeah, I like that. And I feel that's the important part, is like, you are also like, when you're helping somebody, you're going into it specific to them. Because if you were to try to do cookie cutter stuff for every single community, I don't think it would work, you know? You would end up seeing those people that end up spending money, and they jump from coach or consultant or course or whatever, and they keep trying all these things. They're like, I've spent so much money trying to get this to work, and it's because they were just given a framework or whatever. Like, that person was actually scaling. They were trying to make it scalable when you need somebody that's going to like come in and hands-on, get messy, and like look at the different angles that you could do it in. So I think that's an important thing. Like you school scaling might not end up being scalable unless unless you figure out how to bring more people on that
That's
can think
true.
like you. But that's so important because people need to feel also in their, because they're relying on you to help them with their community, which is like their dream, their vision, their baby, their livelihood, you know? So they need someone like you to do that. So that's where my round of applause is. Yay!
Nice. I think it's just hard to miss, because it's such a good sales tactic in terms of, oh, dude, even with school, right? School itself. It's like, I completely lost my train of thought and I don't know where I said that.
That's fine too.
Oh, with info products, they're like, dude, info products are the shit. And it's, this business model doesn't work, this doesn't work, this doesn't work, and this is the thing that works. Like, it's like brilliant sales tactic, but it doesn't actually, help people too much.
And then you see somebody the next day, info products are broken. You know?
Exactly.
They just pitch their own thing. That's pretty cool. Well, thank you for spending your time with us on this Monday evening for you, because you're based out of the UK. Soon to be
Dots, we
everywhere.
don't care.
Yeah, you're welcome. He's got another community too. It's Europe in real life, right?
Yeah.
You're gonna be doing a bunch of stuff.
You can join that if you want some IRL events. If you want to meet me in person, I can dap you up. That was terrible. There you go.
Well, we'll put the links to your communities in the description here. If you want somebody that is smart as heck about growing, scaling, all things school communities, you want to get with Artin. His community is awesome in general. Like, we have so much fun on his weekly calls.
Yes, those are great.
Yeah, if you're really missing out, so join that. And thank you so much.
Yeah, and just the last little thing is, even if you don't know if you're ready to scale, but you think that you may be ready to scale at some point, right? Still join his community, because then you'll still get like any of those tidbits that he's going to share in there too. Because I think that's going to be helpful for even preparing to scale,
Yeah, it's free as of now, so you got no reason not to.
What they said.
All right, y'all.
All right. Thanks
Thank
for
you
listening.
so much. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.